As a home seller in the San Francisco Bay Area, you traditionally have all the power and all the control, meaning it's always a great time to be a home seller here in the San Francisco Bay Area. But there's a huge difference between just selling your home and selling it for the highest possible price. And in today's video, I'm going to uncover some of the best negotiation strategies that you can deploy to sell your home for the highest possible price. My name is Danny Gould, CEO of the Selling Silicon Valley Group, and having sold now hundreds of homes here in the Silicon Valley and in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, I understand what it takes in order to not just sell your home, because a lot of agents, they just want to sell it and be done with it. But what we really focus on, what we really specialize in, is in selling your home for the highest possible price. Now, before we get into the video and all of the good stuff that I have for you, if you are currently thinking about selling your home and you're thinking, what should I price my property for? And should I even sell it right now? Is now the right time for me to do it? Is the timing right? All of that, we can actually send you a customized data report specific for your property. You can text the word data plus your property address to the number down below, and we will send all of that information straight to your inbox. The two main things to focus on as a negotiator while selling your home is, how do we create a competitive environment for the buyer to really, instead of focusing on you, focus on the buyers, focus on their competition. That's number one. And then number two is, how do we create a negotiation strategy that's going to allow us to find and figure out which of the buyers are actually willing to pay you the most money for your home. As an agent, my main value to any of my home sellers is in marketing and in the negotiation. And so the first part, the marketing, where most agents kind of fall off or falter, is that they're kind of focused on just bringing you a buyer. They're thinking, hey, I want to find the buyer. And my team, what we really do is we focus on bringing in the market, really creating what we like to call a full market response. When you bought your home, in all likelihood, you toured it with an agent. You toured it with a real estate agent on your own time, on a Wednesday or a Thursday in the morning, in the afternoon. In all likelihood, you saw it in the absence of competition, meaning you didn't see any of the other buyers around when you were shopping for your home. And that's a huge flaw in the process of real estate agents today, is that they are allowing the buyers to believe that there is an absence of competition. Now, understand that in the Bay Area housing market right now, it's very common for buyers to know and understand that it's going to be a very competitive situation for them. However, it's one thing to know that, and then it's another thing. It's a completely different beast and animal to see it. Our strategy relies heavily on having one day where all of the buyers and all of the neighbors and everyone is at the home at one singular time. We call it our grand open house day. And during that day is the only time that buyers are actually allowed to see the home. Now, at the same time, we've advertised the open house. We've made it available to the open public. And so when buyers are coming in, not only are they seeing all the other buyers, they're also in a crowded home with tons of people who are neighbors. They're coming in from off the street and everything. But here's the catch. Here's the psychology of it all. People like to believe that everyone else is like them. And so it's not like everyone in the home has their purpose for being there stamped on their forehead, like, hey, I'm just a neighbor, or hey, I'm just a looky-loo. They are all thinking, all the buyers are thinking, every single one of these persons, every single one of these people is my competition. By taking the power back from the buyer, and as a seller empowering yourself to only make the home available during a certain amount of time, there is a herd mentality that starts to spawn in the minds of the buyers. This is going to come in real handy when we get to the negotiation table with all of these buyers. But first of all, let's just think from the psychology of a home buyer. If they don't know, or in the absence of competition, they are going to ultimately offer you less than if they can conceptualize and actually visualize all of the buyers and everyone who's competing against them for the home. So if you just look at the case study for two different buyers, you have buyer A, who saw the home on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. with no other buyers present, or buyer B, who saw the home with 100 other people in the house at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. Which buyer do you think is going to come in with a higher initial offering price? It's buyer B, almost 100% of the time. Now, keep in mind, we do a ton of marketing to draw people into that day. So we're not just relying on the buyers who are interested in the property. We're funneling people in there from all different types of marketing strategies and approaches that we use to get people into that open house. Now, here's where the fun part begins. On day 6 of Selling Silicon Valley's group 6-day sprint to sold methodology, that's our offer day. That's the day where we get to see what the buyers come in with. Now, most agents will run one of two strategies. They'll either run the let's just take the highest and best right away. They'll say, hey, Mr. Seller, you don't want to scare any of these buyers off. We don't want to intimidate them by asking them to pay more. So let's just pick the highest offer. This is a great offer. You like this offer, right? You love this offer, right? Let's just take it. And by the way, I see most real estate agents in the Bay Area using that strategy. They use the fear of loss to keep them from doing the hard and dirty work. But the best negotiators out there are the ones who know that the power in negotiation is the ability to walk away. The skill is in never having to. And we're gonna get into exactly how we use that concept to our advantage. Now, the second strategy that a lot of agents use is let's just counter the top 2 or 3 buyers that come in and see which one of them can come up the most. Well, the error or the flaw in that strategy is that in this market, it's not uncommon for us to get 10, 15, 20 offers. And so literally 15 to 17 offers could never get a chance to step it up. We know that human psychology is a very interesting thing. And so sometimes people are not willing to offer their highest and best right away. In fact, I would argue that almost 100% of the people in almost any situation would never offer their highest and best right away, even in the presence of and knowing how much competition there is on the home. And the truth is, you never know what a buyer is willing to pay unless you give them an opportunity to. So how do we differ from that approach? Well, the first thing that we do is once we get those offers, we're gonna counter every single buyer that came through the door. We're gonna counter every single buyer that made an offer. Now, why do we do this? Why do we spend so much time countering every single buyer that comes in? Well, what I know is that a lot of times the buyer that's in the middle of the pack could sometimes actually come and rise all the way to the top. And they never would have been able to do that if we didn't give them an opportunity to. This actually happened to me recently. We actually had a property where the highest sale in the community ever was $1.425 million. Awesome, great. So my sellers, after doing some due diligence and looking at the data and the trends and everything, decided to price their home for $1.299. So they priced it just a little bit under the market value. We ended up with 13 offers on the property. The highest offer, $1.475 million. My sellers were ecstatic. They were like, Danny, you're a magician. How did you do it? We're so happy. Let's sign it. And I said, nope. Remember, the power in negotiation is the ability to walk away. We gotta go back to these guys and show them and demonstrate to them that it's gonna take more. It's going to take more. And why do I know that this works? Well, number one, I've done it hundreds of times. And number two, I know that a real serious buyer is never gonna walk away because they get a counter. And fear of loss is actually what keeps most sellers from maximizing their return on their home. Most sellers will never test the waters because they're too afraid to. Unless you have a skilled negotiator by your side that knows how to work that kind of situation, more often than not, you're gonna be left wondering whether or not you could have gotten more. And in most cases, the answer is yes. All right, so back to the example. At this point, we sent out 11 counters. So 2 of the offers were actually below list price and we didn't even want to bother with those people. So we ended up countering 11 of 13 offers. It was actually the offer in 4th position that ended up coming the highest after 2 rounds of counters and negotiation. Want to know what number they ended up buying the property at? 1.575. A whole whopping $100,000 over what the original highest offer was at. And had we used either of the 2 strategies that most agents use, we would have basically kept our seller from maximizing their return. We would have ended up getting them $100,000 less. $100,000 less, all because they were too afraid to negotiate. And you know what? That's not the only story I have like that. I have countless others. And by the way, you can always feel free to hit me up and ask me, hey, Danny, tell me some more stories, because I'm full of great scenarios and situations just like that, where we got our sellers 20, 50, 100K more than they ever would have gotten by listing with anyone else. If you're interested to see how our team of negotiators can help maximize your bottom line, you can text me directly at the number down below, and I'd be more than happy to set up a time for us to meet in person. If you've made it this far in the video, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button down below and give us a thumbs up. I don't know if you know this, but 94% of our viewers are actually not subscribed to our channel, so it just blows my mind. It doesn't cost you anything, and if nothing else, it helps me get in front of more people just like you, and that's what we're about here at the Selling Silicon Valley Group, is helping everyone in the San Francisco Bay Area achieve their housing dreams. This is Danny Gould, everyone, Selling Silicon Valley, and I'll catch all of you in the next video.